The students looked at each other with envious glances, while Aang acted like a complete fool and made a scene, and Sayori immediately refused to back down. Sayori ruthlessly exposed Aang's embarrassing incident of wandering into the prohibited area, and the whole class erupted because everyone knew the mysterious legend. The legend warned that approaching there would lead to curses, so classmates urged Aang to be careful, but he ignored them completely. Even having heard the rumors, Sayori still walked to the forbidden area after school to find Aang, who took him to stunning rocks of the magnificent sea view. Aang, not willing to lose, suddenly pushed Sayori into the icy water. They were drenched in an instant, shivering all over. Aang, brimming with pride, seemed to be full of confidence. This flippant attitude seemed to awaken a storm within Sayori. He began to enjoy being around Aang, but Aang went MIA the next day. Staring at the empty seat, Sayori felt a void. He unintentionally learned from Nai that Aang was the sole heir of the Kogawa family. As a child of the deity, Aang had to guard this land for generations, making his identity even more intriguing to Sayori. Back home, Sayori found his mood changing like the tides. Sayori felt nervous upon receiving a package with a famous photographer's collection. The photographer wanted to shoot a series of photos of Sayori. Considering the boldness of the photos, Sayori hesitated and told Aang about it. Aang remained aloof to this. Sayori wanted to grab his attention and was determined to prove himself, so he accepted the shoot invitation. The next day, while they were shooting in the forest, a stone suddenly flew from afar, hitting the photographer squarely in the head. A real thrilling shoot. Aang turned and left, but Sayori, on a whim, chased him without hesitation. In the greenery, the two young ones chased after each other. Soon, Sayori collapsed to the ground, panting heavily. The photographer followed and happened to see the girl lying on the ground, thinking to himself, "What a rare moment." Sayori covered her face, unsure if this would attract Aang's attention. Sayori wondered if this approach would win Aang's approval, and mustered the courage to tell him after school. "The photo book is ready," she exclaimed, and before she could finish her sentence, Sayori zipped out of the school. They frolicked by the creek, and Sayori successfully caught Aang's interest, proudly handing him the photo book. Aang flipped through each page of the photo book, his eyes fixed on every smile from Sayori. Sayori could no longer hold back and finally confessed, "The photos were meant to grab your attention." Because when he first saw Aang, he was already smitten, but his careful approach only met with indifference. As Sayori spoke, her grievances bubbled over, tears streaming down. Aang quickly tossed her a can of soda. As she opened the soda can, a burst of bubbles surged forth, and Aang couldn't help but break into a relaxed smile at the sight. Aang's kiss confirmed their relationship, and Sayori's photo book quickly became a hit, skyrocketing him to fame overnight, with directors approaching him. Sayori's mother wanted to take him back to Tokyo to continue pursuing his dreams, but he was increasingly fond of life here. Ultimately, he chose love over career, but Aang seemed to grow distant. Sayori felt confused, wondering if Aang only liked the glamorous version of him on TV. Aang removed Sayori's bracelet and put on his own. Aang prayed for her safety, and seeing this, Sayori also put on a bracelet from him. In the witness of the vast ocean, they exchanged bracelets and cherished their time together. On the Festival of Fire, Sayori dressed to impress, but her belt unexpectedly loosened. Though Aang scoffed, he carefully tied it for her. Sayori was displeased with this, and Aang, seeing through her little thoughts, grabbed her hand, making the night's atmosphere sweet as honey. During the annual fire festival, Aang raised the torch for a special fire avoidance ritual, and the atmosphere around was tense. Sayori strained to get closer, just to catch a glimpse of her beloved Aang, but was abruptly interrupted by the sudden arrival of a man. The man told Sayori urgently her grandfather was in hospital emergency. Hearing it, her heart jumped to her throat. Before she could respond, she was pulled away, while a helpless Aang could only wave from afar. Just then, the bracelet Sayori gave to Aang suddenly snapped, causing him a wave of unease. Meanwhile, Sayori sensed something was wrong, realizing the car wasn't heading to the hospital, but instead drove to a deserted area. The man's true colors were revealed. As it turned out, he was her obsessive fan, driven to evil thoughts by his intense infatuation. Luckily, Sayori fought back and broke free to escape, while Aang couldn't care less and rushed toward her direction. She called out Ahang's name loudly until they finally met again by the riverbank. Aang tried to pull her up, but was attacked by the man, who threw punches and kicks. Saoya, terrified, hid under the bridge, yet the man found her and pinned her down. Subtitles. Despair overwhelmed her as she cried out, and Ahang could do nothing but watch helplessly. Fortunately, villagers arrived just in time to save Saoya, but Ahang was beside himself with grief, his heart in tatters. He hated his inability to protect the girl he loved from such pain. From then on, Saoya became disheartened, the sparkle in her eyes faded, and her movie dreams crumbled. The internet was rife with tragic news about her, and even Ahang began to avoid her, as public opinion preyed upon her self-esteem like a ravenous beast.